The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. The disciples had forgotten to bring bread, and they had only one loaf with them in the boat. Jesus enjoined them, "Watch out, guard against the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod." They concluded among themselves that it was because they had no bread. When he became aware of this, he said to them, "Why do you conclude that it is because you have no bread? Do you not yet understand or comprehend? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes and not see, ears and not hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many wicker baskets full of fragments you picked up?" They answered him, 12. "When I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many full baskets of fragments did you pick up?" They answered him, 7. He said to them, "Do you still not understand?" The Gospel of the Lord. This is a tough question from Jesus, really. Do you know? The way that he sets it all up, he asks us, "Do we understand?" I'm not sure that he's going to get a better answer from us than the disciples who thought he was just talking about bread. It's like, okay, he's talking. Okay, so Jesus, put us in the right ballpark. We're not talking about bread. Okay, so this is a first part of a very provisional answer, perhaps. But I think it's clear, right? That we see this account follow immediately after Jesus has been asked for a sign, and he says that this generation is not going to receive a sign. And now he's saying to be on your guard. And in many ways, I think there's, it's simply a matter of, say, competing understandings of what it means for Jesus to be Israel's Messiah. It goes down deeper because it's about agendas beneath that, which is a matter of like who is going to profit from not only what Jesus is doing, but who he is, right? And then I think perhaps underneath that, we get some sense of what is going on in the hearts of people, such that we're able to identify something of the problem that Jesus is facing and the remedy for the problem. And we could point all the way back to Genesis, right? We're getting that first reading these weeks from the book of Genesis. So yeah, where to start really, I think is to say that the competing understanding or interpretation perhaps of what the Messiah is supposed to be, because of course the feeding works of God that Jesus performs, these impressive feats, or at least these feats that made an impression. Jesus feeding the multitude. That is a sign of Jesus' messiahship. It's a sign of his kingship, but it's also a recapitulation, like in the sense that Israel's history is being lived out again in Jesus and through him. So this is like the manna in the wilderness, and Jesus is the one who provides. He provides the food for God's people in need, but he also is leading them, right? He's of course he's the God figure in the scene because he's God in the flesh, but he's providing for his people also with the works of prophecy and teaching and the giving of the law, of the new law for his renewed people. So whereas, in the other Gospels we see that the commentary is the people being fed wanted to carry Jesus off and make him king. Right here, we didn't get the commentary in Mark, but we have that understanding as well. They want to make him a king of their choosing. I mean, why not, right? Someone's going to come on the scene and feed you. He has the power to feed you at will. I might make that guy my king. Do you know it's, okay, great. I don't have to pay for it. Do you know, like, oh, okay, you can be the king as long as you keep feeding me. Do you know, that's fine for me. Okay, but what's happening what's happening there as well is that, of course, if Jesus wants to be the king for the Pharisees or for the Herod and his house, he has to perform deeds that line up with their agenda and the advancing of their agenda. Yeah, and that's not what he's going to do. So this is where he's going. This is I think the sense of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod. You can say Jesus' disciples are not to take on the agendas of their day. They're not to assume for themselves. They're not to live out of the agendas of their day, which is something like, like an Israel on the rise, right? An Israel, like for the Pharisees, an Israel that is, prosperous materially and so on and so forth. Like Jesus is going to, in this sense, right? What they're looking for is for the rise of the nation, and that means like the material possessions and the like. It also means independence, whatever that means. It certainly means getting rid of the Romans and all that kind of thing, right? But this is their agenda, kind of this view of national prosperity, yeah. And if your sense of things is that God exists so as to enrich me, you're not going to understand Jesus. It's just the way it is, right? And we have that sense in our own. Is it in our cultural milieu? Is it just the way we as Americans talk about things of faith? Right? When we talk about blessings from God, if I said to you, think about some of the great blessings that God has given you, right? They tend to all align with your own material prosperity and your health, things like that, or the health or material prosperity of other people. Is that it? Is that the extent? Anyway, this is my sense is then, right? This is the leaven of the Pharisees or of Herod, because we as a people understand that we've been called to live lives of great and costly love. That's what our mission is. We recognize that as a people. We can take that on as a people. But how much of the little leaven is going to raise the whole lot, right? In the sense that how many times do I have to go to Amazon a week for me to start thinking that my life is about personal enrichment or comfort? Once, probably. It's like stay away from Amazon. I told you I'm preaching to myself, but this is, we have to be. The sense is Jesus with his disciples. You have to be on your guard, because I've come to do a particular thing, and you're called to be part of that thing. So you're going to have to be careful to not allow the other things, namely centering your life on things other than the true and living God. You're going to have to be very careful to hold those things off so as to not ruin the entire batch. This is clearly true for us today. And then again, right, that next level deeper, which is what we get from Genesis, where God is talking about the wickedness of the people. Yeah? And Jesus even giving us this little quote from Jeremiah is the same kind of thing. Is talking about hearts gone astray. Guess what? Hearts go astray. God's project comes off the rails. Yeah, I mean, right. We don't have the power to derail God's project. It's going to continue. Right? There's great consolation in that, because we know that our hearts are going astray all the time. Right? But this is it. The power of the movement that Jesus is effecting demands the centering of hearts and lives on the true and living God, which we can't do without Jesus. And we can't do it without his strength, without his power. We simply can't do it. So we have to be then focused. Okay, we're gonna hold off the various agendas of our day so that we can live the missioned lives that God has called us to, lives of great and costly love that we've been called to. And we are going to live those lives by faith, right? We're going to live those lives by entrusting ourselves to Jesus so that he can do in us what we can't achieve in ourselves. And it's not just achieving ourselves like, okay, right now, and then I've done it, check the box, I'm moving on. No, this is the work of a lifetime. The renewal that God wants to effect in us is the work of a lifetime. We come before him today to say yes. We got to come before him any number of times today and say yes to him, right? We're going to say no to the world and its various agendas, but we got to say yes to him. We got to allow him to work that renewal in us. And again, this is the fruit of an intimate and personal relationship with Jesus. And he's calling us into that relationship today. In fact, right, God is loving us into life today. Right? By his love for us, he's stirring our hearts. He's healing us. He's giving us strength. If we will allow him, to, and then affecting that renewal in us, we are made ready to renew and restore his entire world. We're able to go out and in the power of self-giving love, reorder all the things that we encounter to be more firmly grounded on love itself, giving God the glory all the while, because it's his work. He's called us by his initiative, and he's the one who is making it happen in us and working his mighty deeds also through us.